Today's episode is for anyone felt behind, left behind, overwhelmed, or like something about them makes life harder than what it should be. We're talking about what it means to grow up feeling different, how those early messages shape the way that you see yourself, and what it takes to rebuild your confidence from the inside out. By the end of this conversation, you're going to understand dyslexia in a way most people don't. You're going to learn how it creates doubt, why it gets misread as laziness, inconsistency, and how the same thing that feels like a disadvantage become one of your strengths. If you've ever struggled with self-doubt, perfectionism, overthinking, or the pressures to catch up, this episode gives you clarity and the real tools that you can use today. Hey, what's up? I'm Tony Taylor. Are you here for Leaders Lead the podcast? Let's go. Hey, how did you beat me? Look, let me tell you about this podcast. We got like 5 seconds. Leaders Lead the podcast is about leadership. Not just the leader without, but the leader within. All of these leaders that I'm talking to across the country, well, across the world now, they have one thing in common, and that's that they have overcome some insurmountable obstacles to get to where they're at today.
We'll jump back into your episode in a minute, but first let me ask you something. Are you great at what you do, but it still feels like no one really sees you as the go-to expert in your space? You're showing up, maybe putting out content, speaking on a few podcasts, but the visibility, the growth, the income, it still feels out of reach. That's exactly why I created the Experts Blueprint. It's a step-by-step system that I use to help coaches, consultants, and purpose-driven experts finally get visible, grow your loyal audience, and turn their message into income. Inside, I'll show you how to craft your story so people actually remember it. Build a platform that works for you 24/7 and create content that builds trust and moves people into action. If you're ready to stop being overlooked and start getting the recognition, the results that you deserve, join the waitlist by emailing me at info@tonytaylorinspires.com. Let's build something real. Let's get you seen. Welcome back to your episode.
And she was like, well, it's not just that. And I'm like, shit, really? So I and then we connected, and I'm just like, oh man, this is freaking fate, man. This is so cool. But
Thank you.
yeah. So so I was looking at your bio, and I was wondering if you could just start us off, man. The seat belts are already going, the car's already freaking started. I want us to just go ahead and take off and start driving, going fast, man. If you could take me back to first grade when you were diagnosed early, what did that moment feel like for you as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid, I didn't know too much about it. Like I didn't know too much about dyslexia because if you can imagine, first grade class, teacher has us stand up, walking down the hall, then has us stand up against the wall to the classroom, and as she walks in, we're curious little kids, so we like peek around the corner and see a bunch of tables there. One by one, they filter us in to the classroom, and it was my turn. Went up to a desk. The person I assume she was a mom because she just had like that mom vibe for my first grader mind. Handed me this piece of paper and said, "Hey, will you read this?" I'm like, "Yeah." I looked at it, and man, it's like giving a first grader like the New York Times to try to understand all the words and all that. I struggled so bad. I was missing words. Some words were too big and trying to sound them out. Eventually got through it. She said, "Thank you so much." And like the motherly smile, "You can head back to your class." And then the next couple of months got called in with my parents. And all of a sudden this thing called dyslexia entered into my life. They're like, "Yeah, you're diagnosed with dyslexia. Here's kind of what we understand about it and go on your merry way." And so I was like, cool, I got this thing called dyslexia. I don't know what that means. Over the next couple of years in grade school, though, my friends started treating me differently. They're like, "Oh, who is this kid that on Fridays, the last hour of each day, needs to go to a special classroom with other special kids to be able to play games and do stuff? Why is he going to go and we don't?" So then they started to pick on me, and they wanted not to be around the special kid. I realized that whenever we were reading out loud in class, it was I was the one who took forever to read a sentence while everyone else was reading a paragraph. And while we were doing assignments, I was always the last one to turn it in. Everybody would be up, ready to go. They'd have their backpacks ready for the bell to ring, and I'd still be sitting there trying to finish the rest of the assignment. It's just like over time, I start to realize, like, I don't like this dyslexic thing, man. I just don't like it. And throughout middle school and high school, just all these special occurrences happened to where I had to have special privileges to be able to keep to catch up to everyone else in high school. Before school started, I had to get all of my teachers, all I think we had 8 classes because they're like A days and B days. All my teachers into a conference room with me and my parents to go over, it's either a 504 or 529 plan, whichever one helps with like learning.
Yeah, 504. Yeah.
Yeah, 504.
We'll jump back into your episode in a minute, but first let me ask you something. Are you great at what you do, but it still feels like no one really sees you as the go-to expert in your space? You're showing up, maybe putting out content, speaking on a few podcasts, but the visibility, the growth, the income, it still feels out of reach. That's exactly why I created the Experts Blueprint. It's a step-by-step system that I use to help coaches, consultants, and purpose-driven experts finally get visible, grow your loyal audience, and turn their message into income. Inside, I'll show you how to craft your story so people actually remember it, build a platform that works for you 24/7, and create content that builds trust and moves people into action. If you're ready to stop being overlooked and start getting the recognition, the results that you deserve, join the waitlist by emailing me at info@tonytaylorinspires.com. Let's build something real. Let's get you seen. Welcome back to your episode.
And had to get them all to sign that I get extra time. I can record the lectures, get their presentations, take more time on tests. And it's just like, man, all these, it felt like I had to get extra privilege to keep up with everybody else.
Wow. Wow. And this was how old are you? You don't mind me asking.
Yeah, I'm 29.
Okay, you're 29. Okay, so this wasn't um it's not like it was like way, way, way back. I'm super glad that they do the 504 plans and they have the teachers and they have it do it. But I can't imagine how that must have made you feel. Like what message did you take in at that age about yourself in that period of time?
I needed extra stuff just to be average. Like, and if I didn't have it, I was always below average. Always had to take extra time. And just ultimately, just the summary of Willie ain't smart. Willie's dumb. And it sucked. It really did.
Did you have you said your parents were with you during those times? Were they really supportive or what
Yeah.
what it looked like for you?
Yeah. Parents were very supportive. My mom, especially, like, they helped me. I was able after school to do tutoring to help with my dyslexia. So being able to understand the words and use sentences and everything. Nothing like I'm talking right now. Like, imagine me 10, 15 years ago. It's just like you can imagine the shy kid over 200 pounds since the 8th grade. I was just this chubby, shy kid, and it felt like the world was against me.
Yeah.
And of course, now there's like this whole last decade that I've been a part of, like it's changed. So much goes into it. I know we'll talk about it later, the advantages and everything. But back then, like I felt stupid, felt like I was always going to be the one that below average, that everyone else was going to be my boss, and that after I graduate high school for the rest of my life, this thing called dyslexia is always going to hold me back.
Yeah, you brought up the fact that like you're shy and chubby. I wanted to tell you I saw because I stalked you a little bit. I think I told you that before.
How dare you? How dare you stop me?
So I saw kind of like a before and after pic. One was on you on stage, and another one you was all like slim and trim. And I wanted to tell you congratulations because I know
Appreciate
how I know about that struggle, brother. I know about it, and I can't imagine how that must feel for you to be able to like step into a new you, same person, but a new you. So I wanted to tell you congratulations on that.
Tony, thank you for that. And if I could actually share a quick little cool moment. So My max was about 300 pounds, just right under that. And as I started my weight loss journey 2 years ago, that was when my max was. Was working on it, and there was a moment to where I was in my kitchen and I stepped on the scale and I weighed myself. And I think I was like it was like 275 when I hit. And so I'm like, I want to try something. So I went and grabbed my 6 month old at the time, grabbed her, held her, and we stood on the scale together. And I weighed as much as I did at my max. And I'm like, Kayla, will you come here? My wife's name is Kayla. I'm like, Kayla, will you come here? Stepped off the scale and I held my baby out to her. And the freaking moment when she took that baby and I could feel how much weight she weighed. 20 pounds is a lot of weight.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I let go, I felt like the relief off my body, that this burden just got lifted. And I'm like, I've been carrying this my entire life. And I didn't, you don't feel it. You don't feel it in the moment. You just feel it once you lose it.
Wow.
And that weight, when I gave it away, I'm like, man, I'm just full of gratitude for this moment. And I can't wait to lose more. Like, imagine I also have a 5-year-old, and just like if I hold her and myself on a scale and we weigh the same as my max, just like letting go of her and have her walk away and just like that relief, I know it's going to be really emotional, really like more impactful. But just that moment of just like release, I'm like, I am so grateful for this, and man, I'm excited to do more. So, all in all, Tony, thank you for that.
That is so inspiring, man. You got me getting ready to start crying on my own damn show, man.
Dude, I was crying, like, we're emotional today, and we love it.
Man, that's incredible. Your storytelling, I gotta tell you, is really good. I can really it was like I felt like I was there with you
Mm.
when you had the baby and you standing on the scale. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And it actually inspired me because I'm on a journey, a weight loss journey as well. And there's nothing like it. Like having that feeling of, and not even weight loss. Let me go back, not a weight loss, but a more healthier version of me, right? That's like no stress eating. That's like no
Yes.
going and working out. Not so much, worried about the scale, but okay, what can I put in me that's healthy so that I can get healthy output, so that I can be me, so that I can talk, so that my brain can function the right way. But yeah, thanks for sharing that with me. I was going to ask you, growing up and feeling like you were behind all the time, as somebody else, like I deeply resonate with that because that's kind of how I felt in school. What did your day-to-day look like?
Did it look like back when I was in school?
Mhm. Like, having that
Um,
feeling of, you being behind all the time.
I dove a lot into video games. The video games was where nobody's judging you because you're on the other side of the screen, and me being able to sit there and just like do all the controls and stuff made me feel this false sense of accomplishment. Being able to beat Pac-Man World 2, being able to like play Kirby Air Ride with my kids, being able to like play Pokemon and beat the Elite Four. Only the video game listeners know exactly what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
It's like there's a sense of accomplishment. It's just like, wow, I did this. And in a world in which I felt like I couldn't accomplish anything, just like the small moments of accomplishment, even if it was with a video game, was really addicting in
Mm,
that way. And so a lot of my daily was the tutoring that I did after school, to doing my homework, to then spending a lot of my time playing video games.
yeah. Yeah, so it was kinda like a coping strategy that you use, correct?
For sure.
Do you feel like it was, a good coping strategy, or do you feel like it was kinda like maladaptive type?
Hindsight 2020, it was all right.
Right.
Like, it was good. I connected with my older brother. I'm a sibling of 5 kids. I'm the second oldest. So me and my older brother would play this game called Cookies and Cream, 2-player game, and we really bonded from that. And I can't think of any other. We always are in competition with each other, and those are the only moments where I remember us competing together to do something. So the good side of it was, yeah, me and my brother, and as well as my other siblings, we just bonded over that. But like the amount of time I spent on video games and sitting there, yeah, hindsight 2020 could have gone to something else.
No, but I love that, you were feeling this way, you're going through all this stuff going through all this stuff at school. Maybe you were understanding what was going on, maybe you weren't understanding what's going on, but you could escape you can escape into
Yeah.
your own world, and you were using that as a coping strategy, to survive, right? I was gonna ask you, for people like me that think dyslexia is my letters are backwards or my numbers are backwards. What exactly is dyslexia?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get nerdy a little bit. How
Yeah,
about that?
what is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so dyslexia is just a single form of lexia. So you got dys. So I'm jumping, I can't remember if it's Latin or Greek, but you got dys, which is difficult, and then lexia, which is reading. So dyslexia is difficulty with reading. But
Mm,
then you got other things like dysgraphia, which does writing, dyscalculia, which has to deal with math, and a bunch of other dyslias that are out there that go into it. But really, it comes down to, in the simplest way possible, the way we process information. So it's how we take information in from what we hear and what we see, all of our senses, to then how we internalize it and how we interpret it in our minds, to then how we communicate it out. So, really, that whole process between input, figuring it out, and then our output, that is where the dyslexia comes in. It's just the way that our brain is wired. We simply think differently. And sometimes in a world where it's just like you got to be so good with reading and writing, it's hard for us to go that way. But in times of problem solving, communication, being able to be sympathetic towards people, patterns. I'm just throwing out so many at once. We can
mm.
dive deeper into it. But like out of like problem solving solutions, like there's so much great things that go into it, which we don't usually get to hear because a lot of time it's just like these three things amongst hundreds of things that actually work great with dyslexia.
Wow. So as a parent, how if for the parents that are listening to this, how can we equip them to recognize the signs? Like, what would they be seeing if they have a child that has dyslexia?
That is a great question. Things you'll see is, and this is my advice. This isn't. I don't have a PhD. I don't have the education to be able to like diagnose somebody. This is just from my personal experience. From what
You're
I've
would trump somebody that has a PhD with it, unless they have dyslexia. So yeah, I'll take
uh,
your word over a PhD any day.
I appreciate your words. From my point of view, when I see someone with dyslexia, it's hard for them to read. Obviously, they have a difficulty reading. So if you have them read out loud, I'm trying to find something to read. It would be very slow for them when reading. And when
Oh,
it comes to big words, they'll they'll sound it out rather than just instantly get what the word is. So just takes them a little bit longer to figure out the word because their brain is just trying to process the letters first, and then they'll be able to get it. Which people who have practiced for a while and have experience in it, they'll be able to look at the word, and it's not about reading it per se for dyslexics. It's about that's the pattern. I've seen that word before. The last time I read this word, it was difficulty. Oh, okay. So this word is difficulty. So then you're able to like connect it. So in the weirdest way, it's like you visualize these words in pattern form rather than just like reading it out. And sometimes you do read it out. So that's one way is like the slowness of the reading. Another way could be in the weirdest way possible. Their creativity is much higher than you see in other people. So
oh,
their ability to be creative. All kids are creative, but you'll see that dyslexic individuals kind of are on a higher plane when it comes to being creative and that they see things in visual form. So if I were to like describe my ideal life with my wife and kids, I'm thinking about the house, but not just the house. I'm thinking of the bricks it's going to be made out of, the tiles on the roof. I'm thinking of like the little curvature sidewalk that goes to our driveway. that we're able to drive out. I imagine the grass that's out front, acres that are behind me, that we have a lake that I can hear the water from. Like, this is so detailed that a lot of people don't go into it. And that's because I just love the the visualness of things. So we see things in pictures in our minds rather than just like words on checklist. Not like being creative doesn't mean you're dyslexic, but that mixed with other things can. So those are just two things that could go into being dyslexic.
Wow, and that's gonna come and that just triggered a question for me when we actually get to the superpowers. I mean, because that definitely sounds like if harnessed correctly, it can be a superpower.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and even and I noticed just from our communication right now, like I said before, your storytelling is very vivid. Do you think that that's a part of it? A good like I said, would you claim that to be like a part of the superpower?
I think the vividness of my storytelling comes more from me loving to be a speaker and a teacher
Mm,
more than me being dyslexic. It definitely helps because I can imagine it and then in detail talk about it that way. But I don't think necessarily storytelling comes from dyslexia, but it definitely can add to it.
definitely. Okay, okay. Those, early experiences that you had as a child, did they, like, shape the way that you felt about yourself as an adult?
Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit. So if I could take you back to the fourth grade, when, if you can imagine, fourth grade program where you're singing a song, you got the whole play going for all your parents, and we were doing Egypt, Mesopotamia, doing a bunch of songs with that. We were doing a rehearsal, got the teacher up front, all of us on just like the stage, couple levels of all of us fourth graders. Clock had 1 minute before the bell rang. And so the teacher in front said, "Who wants to go over the song again?" In my head, I'm thinking, "No, I don't want to go over the song again because got a minute left. We're in the gym. So we still got to walk all the way back to the classroom to then get my backpack to then make it to the bus. Because if I'm not at the bus after a few minutes when the bell rings, well, it's going to leave. And then I'm going to have to call my mom and she has to come out and get me." Well, when she asked that, I said no. At the exact same time, everybody around me said yes. And if any of you have been in these situations, it felt like a spotlight was on me and that the kids around me started scooting away, which they probably weren't, but it just felt that way. And it was just me and the teacher. The teacher looked at me and said, "What did you say?" And I look around at my fellow fourth graders. I'm like, "No." At the same, and then they said yes. And I'm like, "No." And the teacher pointed her finger at me and said, "You come down here and sit until we're done." So I walked down and sat next to her. And if you remember, like back in the olden days, they had those dunce caps. I felt like I had one of those on, and that the kids were laughing at me. They weren't, they were singing the song, but it felt that way. And so I can go back in my story and think of like maybe I heard the question wrong from the teacher, or maybe there's something else going on. But in that moment, as a fourth grade kid, all I could think about was, I'm never going to raise my voice again. And from that moment, I can vividly remember in classrooms where I would get the answer to questions way before everyone else in the class. But then I'd wait 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then finally someone else would raise their hand, give the exact same answer I had. And then I'd start beating myself up and being like, "Well, you already knew the answer. What the heck's going on? You shouldn't like you're you're the shy kid. You're never going to be amounting to anything. So you should just stay quiet because if you can't even say the answers when you're right, well, what if you're wrong?" And so throughout middle and high school and even up into college, and I'll be honest, I still have parts of it in me today that I still battle with. Of that moment back then when it all started of I just felt misunderstood. I felt no one heard me. And because of that, I'm just not going to raise my voice again.
Now look at you speaking on stages all across the world.
Yeah, now look at me. Now I'm speaking on stages talking about it all the time.
going on some of the top podcasts in the freaking globe. I love how you could take a moment like that and it could hurt you so bad, but it'll fuel you, it'll motivate you. Do you feel like that moment fueled you and motivated you?
It didn't until recent.
Yeah.
Like it didn't until one of my favorite friends and mentors, her name's Marianne Hickman. She goes through this exercise of going back into that moment in your childhood where it first started. And being there, going through that experience, being very as vivid as you can, very detailed about the experience that's going on, just like I shared with you. And then saying, now who do you admire right now? Even if they're on this planet or not, like who do you admire? And for me, I'm like, I admire my grandpa. She said, okay, I want you to imagine your grandpa was there that day of when you walked down the stage to sit by your teacher, your grandpa walked in. And she'd go through this exercise of having, for me, my grandpa come up to me and tell me exactly what I wish I would have heard or have wanted to hear in that moment as that kid who was never going to raise his voice again, to then having my grandpa come in and saying, they just didn't understand you. You don't dial down your voice. You keep sharing it. And it was in that moment a couple of years back when I went through it and actually it changed the memory. It wasn't really a change because I still know what happened, but it brought a new meaning to it. Meaning that even though that happened, I can still be grateful for the way that I am taking time to heal from it. And when my grandpa was there, I felt a little bit more healed. And so that started me healing through the other experiences and traumas that I had to then now it empowers me. Now I can share that story to help empower others as well as myself to be like, this is how I was, but now I don't have to be that anymore. I'm grateful for what I did in the past, but I'm not going to live there. And I'm going to live the way I want to because now I have the power today to be able to do that. First, you have to heal. And then once you heal, then you can start walking.
Wow. And it sounds like you did a great deal of healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do you find yourself overcompensating or people pleasing initially during that period when you were trying to figure out what was going on? Because
Oh,
the reason that I asked that is because I read that was one of the main, not one of the main symptoms, but it was like a byproduct of having dyslexia.
yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time. Yeah. People pleasing 101, I could be the definition of it when I was growing up. Like from that story, like it's the misunderstanding that I had from other people the, and usually people aren't as patient as they think that they are. And so there's a lot more moments in the world to where people think that you're just slow when you're just processing. And because they think you're slow, then they put you in this category of this person isn't worthy of being around me, or this person is dumber than me. So I don't need to talk to them. And of course, trying to people please, like whenever it came to when I was working at Walmart, I'd work Walmart produce. And while I was there, I had to be the one that did everything. Like if my boss came to me and said, "Hey, I need this done," I would do that plus something else that needed to get done. I had to prove myself to him because I felt like I couldn't I felt I haven't proved myself to me. And so I have to prove myself to other people to fill the gap within me that I hadn't healed yet.
Wow.
And so you can imagine this Walmart worker who's just out there running back and forth. That was me. I was going back and forth, putting the salads up, putting the fruit where they need to go, making sure all the moldy ones are taken out so that the customers don't see it because you want to make sure the store looks great. In the back, putting the labels on everything, putting them in the containers, whatever was in the refrigerator, put it in there and organize it. Like I was the one that did it. And I would be known for it. I was known for the guy at Walmart that you can go to. And I knew exactly where every item was because of dyslexia and the pattern thing. was able to memorize where things were. I was the one who would get things done. I was the one who, if the department head wasn't there, I was the next person to go to. It wasn't my job, but by golly, the store manager knew that if the department head wasn't there, the department was great because Willie Blake was in the house. And I got fueled off it, but it came from the wrong place. It's great to work hard and be recognized for it and get the respect for it, but I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it to prove to other people, and if I went a little bit deeper within myself, prove to myself that I was worthy just to be an employee.
And sound like a lot of burnout, a lot of people pleasing.
Yeah,
Sound
a lot of burnout, a lot of smiles and being nice to people. And man, my because it was in the middle of when my wife and I first got married, and she'd be like, you gotta slow down. You have to just like take a breath and be okay with delegating and have other people doing it. I kept telling her, I'm like, if I could share something very personal, I would tell her that I can't slow down because if I slow down, I might actually have to find something out about myself. And I didn't like looking in the mirror back then.
wow.
And so had to keep going. I had to keep being busy. And I'm sure this resonates with you who is listening, that a lot of times we think busy is productive, but no, intentional is productive. Being busy simply means that you're trying to avoid the person in the mirror. When the person in the mirror is screaming at you, just take time for me because I miss you being me.
I know a lot of us do that. I mean, yeah, I mean, when I first started my business, I remember my wife saying almost the same exact words, and but I couldn't put it the way that you just put it, but the way that you're saying, like, it's almost like you're trying to outwork that part of you that you feel like that's missing. So it's
You're
kind
trying
of
to out yeah, you're trying to outwork the pain.
damn, that's pretty deep, Willie Blake.
I felt it. I said it and I felt it. Because man, how many times have we outrun pain?
And you can't outrun it, right?
No. It's through pain that you progress. But we try to avoid that so often. I've done it so many times, but I've learned that it's only through the storm that you get out of it quicker. If you try to run away from it, you're just following the storm.
Wow. I read someplace where you wrote that you got tired of surviving, and I want to know, like, what pushed you to that moment to where something snapped and you said, "I can't keep living like this." And
Man, which time? Like there are several times that it happened. The one that comes up 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It was summer of 2023. That was when I stopped working at Walmart produce. There as I have a strong Christian faith, and so Sundays are very sacred for me and my family. And the Walmart that I was at, they were asking for weekends. I was just working Monday to Friday. Usually they're asking for weekends. And they said, you can't do Saturday because Saturday is already booked. So you got to work Sunday. They're just like, get back to us. So I went home. My wife and I talked about it. We prayed about it. And the ultimate thing was it's time to release my relationship with Walmart and to start something else. And so without a plan on what we are going to do, I put in my 2 weeks notice. And from there, my wife and I had a lot of conversations, a lot of arguments. But when it came down to it, the I wanted to start my coaching business. I wanted to help people out, and not just help people out in motivational quotes posted on Instagram. I wanted to actually like get people help that they wanted. The stuff that people don't usually get because they just don't know that they need it yet.
yeah,
And that wouldn't come from working in Walmart. And so I started my coaching business. We dipped into my savings, or I guess our savings, quite a bit, and just started to build. And I'd say that would be the moment, or at least one of them. Moment to where life was putting us in one direction. And who knows? I believe in God. And maybe God was just like, this is the push that you need to be able to start something bigger than you that you were called here to do. And I'm like, okay, let's just see how it goes. And we're building, we're still doing good. And it was one of the moments to where It was like I release my relationship with Walmart, and it's now time to turn it and start writing the next chapter.
I love it. From produce to the big stage.
And it was a lot of work to get to different big stages, but yeah, produce to big stage.
Yeah. So I'm curious, as far as the dyslexia, what did you start doing differently to turn it from a liability to now a superpower? Like, what did that look like? What is, for the people that are listening to this, whether they have dyslexia, whether they're supporting somebody that have dyslexia, they're sitting down right now, they got their pen out and they're like, okay, this is it. Like, what do they do?
Yeah. Here we go. 5 things. So if you got your pen out, this is what we're doing. 5 things. First thing, your belief and mindset. If you don't want to change, or I guess if you're not trying to go after something, why in the world would you change? So get something that you want, something that you desire, have something that you're going towards, as well as actually do some research on it. I didn't know dyslexia had all this cool stuff until I opened a couple of LinkedIn articles and some studies from Harvard. That's just like, did you know this about dyslexia? 9 things that are really cool advantages to dyslexia. And I'm like, no. So I had my pen, I was writing them down, just like they're great with problem solving because they don't just think of one answer. They actually look at the big picture of things and understand it and understand all the pieces that go into it. And they realize there's more than one direction. They're great with sympathy because they've had to go through so much. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow. And those are just 2 of the 9 for that and all the other amazing things. So you research it a little bit. So your belief and mindset, that's 1. After you know that dyslexia has good with the bad, then you jump to number 2, which is get clear. This is get clear on the goal that you want. So I'm always for, when it comes to dyslexia, diagnosing is great if you want it, but you don't need to be diagnosed to have the life that you want. You just do the things that work for you. And that's just going out there and experimenting with it. So if your goal, let's say, is to be a speaker and get on 1,001 stages, well, then set that as your goal. Set that as something that you're wanting to do. And that's all you got to do. Because if you know where you want to go, and then you're able to ask yourself where you're at right now, well, now you know the direction you need to head. So first is belief and mindset. Second is get clear. Get clear on a goal. Third one is to plan it. And no, I'm not talking about Mercury or Venus, the planets. I'm talking about plan space it. Make a plan. Get a blueprint. Whatever that goal is, reverse engineer it backwards. So if you imagine yourself going to a restaurant and they have like the kids menus and they have the maze that's on there. Whenever I go, I always visualize back to front. So when I finally put crayon to paper, then I can do it flawlessly. And that's what we got to do with our goals. We start at the end and work our way backwards so that we actually have the milestones that we need to hit and are able to have the blueprint in front of us to where we go to the 4th one, which is daily action. It's the start now. You can have the map pulled up on your phone, ready to go. You can click the start button to tell you exactly where it is. But if your car stays in parked, you're not getting to your destination. So this is the time where you take it out of park and you start stepping on the gas. And I have this thing called the 2% rule, which is taking 2% action every single day to get to your goal. That's from breaking it down in the blueprint before to then know what your daily action needs to be. And of course, and I can go into that, or people can be able to look at other content that I've done. I have 2% rule on different channels to be able to understand more about that. So belief and mindset's 1. Second is get clear. Third one is plan it. 4th one is daily action. And then the 5th one, this is you grabbing the wheel and actually turning. This is called adjust and adapt. While you are moving, I don't know about you, but I can't drive from my house to Walmart in a straight line. I need to go down roads and turn every which way to be able to get there. And that's what we need to do in our life. And especially as dyslexics, you'll understand this a lot better. A lot of people in our minds can connect the dots from point A to point B. But between our point A and point B's, there is construction, there is traffic. and we got to take route C. That's a little bit more time, a little bit more visual route, but we eventually get there. And so the adjust and the adapt part is being able to, while you are moving, to pivot and move and turn your vehicle. That's where a lot of people get hung up. It's just like, I need the perfect plan. You don't need the perfect plan. You need to execute. And while you're executing, then you make the pivots. It's hard for dyslexics because, like Tony, like you said, a lot of people pleasing, a lot of trying to get out there and trying to overpower the pain that we have to be able to show off to other people that we are who we say that we are. A lot of people get stuck of we have to have this perfectness, but then perfect really turns into analysis paralysis to where we get paralyzed by everything and we don't take the first step. But I have found if we're able to just make daily small steps forward and micro pivots, then we will eventually get to our goal. I've seen that in my life from going from reading one book to 50 books in a year, from struggling with writing to being a best-selling author, from really being really shy on stage to then inspiring other people with the message that I wish I would have told myself back then and get the opportunity to say now, which is it doesn't matter your experience. As long as you have a desire, that's where you start. And so those are the 5 steps that people can take away.
Oh, I love it. I love it. For the people that that might have missed a little bit of this, I would encourage you to go ahead and rewind it, slow it down if you need to, write it down. You can also go to your website. I think you got the 5 steps on your website as well, right?
Yes, my ebook called Dyslexic Achievers that have these 5 steps in there, and it breaks it down.
Okay.
People who are listening, you'll get it for free. You can get it, go onto my website and be able to grab that. That's free for everybody in your audience because, man, you all are awesome.
That's beautifully said. Yeah, and I think those steps, I could just see how that could help somebody get going, get out of that period of, maybe feeling bad for yourself, that period of feeling like, damn, I can't do this, but realizing, you know what? Things are a little bit different for me, but I can do it if I take another route to get there. What about the people that are supporting somebody with dyslexia? And and we could even talk about a child that has dyslexia, and even an adult, because I know a few adults that got later diagnosed with dyslexia, and their partners like, what the heck is going on? Like, how do we support those people? What are some things that we do? What are some things that we absolutely don't do?
Yeah. First off, for everyone who is supporting a dyslexic, I want to give my personal note of saying thank you. It's hard for us sometimes. And for you to be there helping support that, big thank you for everybody who's going through it. So thank you for supporting. Some of the tips that have helped me and the people that I've worked with as clients and stuff is a lot of is sometimes you got to be patient when it comes to processing information, which means reading or writing as well as talking. There are people out there who do have a hard time with talking because they're trying to find the right words to say. So having a little bit more patience will go a long way with the conversation. One of the other things that when it comes to kids, but also adults, is praise them for the things they're great at. The dyslexics who are not confident, they struggle a lot more because their brain is so over processed and over, what do you call it? Basically, to a burnt out level
Hmm.
of everything. It is being so over processed that they're just doing the barest of minimum. When you share good things about them, when you give compliments, their confidence increases. And as their confidence increases, the level that dyslexia affects them lowers. So as they are more confident, they are then able to go out into the world and be more confident in the things that they're doing. So if you're working with someone with dyslexia or you have a family member or a friend is, share some compliments to them. Talk about the great things they're at because that goes a long way. This question came up from an audience member about this, saying that my kid has dyslexia. They have a hard time with writing. What do I do to be able to help out with this? And my thing was to, if they like sports or whatever that they're good at, have them build confidence in that. So the analogy I gave, because my mom helped me with this, was she put me more into soccer. I love soccer. I love football. And it's just, and as I was out there kicking the ball, the my confidence grew. And then in the classroom, because my confidence grew on the soccer field, my dyslexia was affecting my homework and everything less. And so as I boosted my confidence, it lessened. And I was sharing the same thing with the member who was on the webinar, which is just like put more confidence in the things that they're doing. Of course, do the tutoring, do the reading, do the extra writing, but make sure they like whatever that they love, that they just have more time with it. Because as they're themselves more, they build that confidence, they build self-esteem within themselves, and that helps a lot with dyslexia.
Mm.
So that's one of the big things is just like compliment, pour out compliments, give them more self-esteem because that's going to help them a lot in the long run. And then the other question you asked was something not to do.
Because
Well, the opposite of the two things I gave.
no, I was gonna say I asked that because as parents, we think as parents and supporters, we think that we're helping when we do certain things, but sometimes the things that we feel like we're doing that's helping is actually doing the complete opposite. That's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It really comes down to the really thing is don't think there's only one way to solve things just because it worked out for you, because there are a lot of different ways. Even though 2 + 2 = 4, there's a lot of different routes you can take to get from 2 + 2 = 4. Because in a lot of people's brains, it's just like, cool, the number two and the number two equals the number four. That's it. Only path. For some other people, it might be two pies mixed with two cans of whipped cream equal four happy people, right? And it's just like there's different ways to present the same thing that can help the kids, the dyslexic kids or dyslexic adults out. That is just a different way of thinking. And so when you're at the table or with your spouse getting frustrated at them because they don't understand something, ask them more about it. Ask them questions, not to judge. Judging's bad. Judging will make this worse. Trust me on that one. But ask questions out of pure curiosity of like, what are things that you like to do? When you see this, what do you like? What are you feeling? Understand them. And then when they feel understood, then start learning different techniques to be able to teach, communicate, etc. So that'd be my answer to those.
Do you feel do you feel like I was thinking, when you were talking like as a parent, I was thinking a lot of times as parents, we do try to do that or, people that we're supporting and we get shut down. What would be like if we were told, I don't want to talk about it. What do we do?
Show up with love. Share your love with them. They're going to, in the moment, it is okay if they don't get all the points right on their assignment. But they will absolutely be affected if a continual angry parent is getting after them for something that they just don't understand. But if they feel your love, if they feel it's just like, well, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you what I feel because inside, I don't want to share my feelings with you. Then as a parent, you can say, okay, that's fine. What do you want to do? Or just say, that's okay. And you can walk away, right? If you're in an angry place and you're just like, I want to get this assignment done because it's 9 o'clock at night and they need to go to bed because they got school in the morning. It's just like, take a deep breath, say, I love you, and then walk away for a few minutes. Because the love that you share with them is going to affect them more long term. In the moment, it won't ever feel that way because it's just always in the moment and emotions can be high. But if you just share the ability to love them, it's going to do more for them in the long term than anything you can really do in the short term.
That's so good. Because I feel like sometimes as supporters, we it seems like we go out of our way, and that's me included, to like be relentless with it. Like, I'm gonna make you an appointment and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And it's like, okay, where is the care part? Where is the love part? Where is the just being patient and saying, yeah, like you said, yeah, it's freaking 9 o'clock. Well, if they don't get the work done, freaking well. And that's something that we've had to, as parents, just be like, kind of be on that same wavelength where, oh yeah, it don't matter. If they don't get all A's, they don't get all B's, they don't get all C's. It doesn't matter as long as they did like their absolute best, and as long as we're showing up and supporting them, and knowing and understanding that they're going to make mistakes, and knowing and understanding and not like feeling bad about ourselves when we make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, yeah, I feel like you laid that out beautifully. I feel like at this point, if anybody is listening to this, they have a clear formula on not only how to recognize dyslexia, but how to support somebody with dyslexia and how to work with dyslexia so that they can acquire their superpower. But for that one person that's right here, right now, that still have doubts in their mind, how would the GPS method help them get through that doubt that they're having in their mind? Like right now, they're like, okay, this is good. It's 54 minutes. We got 5 minutes left of the show. I still got doubts. Well, help them out.
It's going to sound weird because in the terms of faith, we usually tag it to a religious sense, but hear me out on this. Doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. The experience, the memory that's going on in your mind is based off of your experience in your life. And I wish it was true because it would make life so much easier, but our experiences do not reflect reality. Our experiences reflect on how we perceive reality. And if we perceive reality in a certain way, then that means that we're in control because we get to determine what we perceive. Henry Ford, at least he's attributed to saying it, said it best. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. If you believe you can't do it, if you doubt yourself, if you think that it's not going to get any better and that you're going to leave this episode being like, well, this is all cool. This is all sunflowers and daisies up in the air, just being like dyslexia is an advantage and a superpower, but like that doesn't apply to my life. You're right. You're right. And it's going to continue to be that way because that's the reality, but that's because how you perceive it. But if you believe that you can, that's the first step and the first seed to start making it happen. My favorite quote that I love to say on stage because it has impacted me so much is this. The master is the master. Do you want to know why? Because the master has failed more than the novice has tried. The novice, the student, isn't in that place because they aren't out there doing it. But the master is in his place because he has failed. He was out there trying, and not only trying, but failing more than that novice or student has tried. So my challenge for you who are listening is to simply try. Just try it out. Everything we talked about today. Pick a single thing that you can do to just try. One thing. Everything else can be a bonus. Just try one thing today that you can do and mark off and just say, I did this today. One thing. And just try. Because when you try, you can't believe what you can achieve.
Awesome. You all heard it. I'm really, really, really grateful to you, Willie. I'm really grateful for coming on the show and teaching me about some stuff that, like I said, I had no idea how complex it can be. I had no idea how to really support somebody that's going through this. And, I wish that everybody could hear this podcast episode because I know that there's a lot of people that are battling and dealing with this. And if they could have somebody as kind as yourself lead them through it, oh my God, how amazing that would be for somebody's quality of life. So, where can folks find your information and possibly get some support from further support from you beyond the show?
Yes. Best place to go to is my website, coachwillieblake.com. There you'll be able to find the links to all my socials, to the podcast, my Light Beyond Limits podcast, where we talk about the breakthroughs and stories of people's limitations and the lessons that they learned from it. You'll be able to book a call with me one-on-one, as well as grab that book that I mentioned earlier that has the 5 steps. Everything you'll be able to find at coachwillieblake.com. And please, if you have that inkling, like, I want to know you, I want to hear your story. So if you feel like that little idea of just like, it'd be really cool to talk to Willie, please find me, because I want to talk to you.
Awesome. I don't think we have any more words left, man. You said it beautifully. And again, thank you for coming on the show, and everybody that's listening. I appreciate you immensely. I'm getting all your emails, all your comments. I love it. Please keep supporting the show. Please keep letting us know if there's other topics that you would like us to cover. This is only the beginning. And again, thank you so much, Willie, for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
All right. That was great. If you enjoyed this podcast, well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you're still here with us, what I want you to do is head over to your favorite podcast and streaming network and give us a download, subscribe to the channel, and also let us know what you think about the show. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something amazing.